Hi, I'm Claudia from GymRa, and I'm gonna take you through a leg sequence today. We're gonna build a lot of strength in the legs, but to do so, we need to start with the arms. Let's come down to the floor. Let's warm up the feet a little bit first. We're gonna take the toes under and sit back, tuck the toes under, let the bottoms of the feet kind of warm up a little bit. A little bit of foot flexibility, a little bit of foot strength here is gonna go a long way. So sitting back with the toes tucked under, then we're gonna point the toes, sit back with the toes pointed, kind of take a second for the feet to open up this way. And then we're gonna tuck the toes under again. One more time, tucking the toes under, letting the bottoms of the feet and the bottoms of the ankles kind of warm up. Tuck the toes under one more time. And this time you're gonna leave a little space between your thighs and start to rest your ribs over towards your inner thighs. Now it's okay if your head doesn't come all the way to the floor here. We're not gonna stay in this child's pose very long. You're gonna take your arms forward. Reach them so far forward that your elbows are straight, okay? So we're not talking floppy arms like this, okay? This is an active reaching here that you're doing in your child's pose. As you reach your arms, look up at your hands. Make sure your hands are about shoulder distance apart and that your fingertips are spread really wide. You're pressing the palms of your hands down into the floor and your hips are staying heavy. As you're pressing your hands down, you're gonna lift your forearms up away from the floor, but your hands are still pressing down. Your outer upper arm, the part where your tricep is wrapping down and under toward your nose. So here you can have your gaze on the floor. Again, hands pressing down, forearms lifting up, outer upper arms wrapping under toward your nose. What all of this is doing is taking the shoulder blade right here to the side of the rib cage. So with all of that activation in your arms, activating through the side of the rib cage, see if you can hug your arms towards each other and walk your fingertips a little bit further forward. Take the whole rib cage with you. And in that way, you're kind of creating a little bit more length, more space through each one of your vertebrae. Let your hips stay heavy. One breath here. Love that length that you got in your spine. And then as you feel ready, keeping your elbows straight, keep pressing the floor away. You're coming up to hands and knees. Here in hands and knees, if you need to make any adjustments to bring your knees right underneath your hips, you can do so. And then you're gonna lift your belly up away from the floor to give support to your low back. Okay, so you're not dumping down here. You're really lifting up away from the floor, supporting your low back. Start to become aware of where your hips are in space. Right now, they're on the same level. They're perfect. They're right next to each other. And you're gonna keep them there as you start to take your right leg out and back toward the back of the room, pressing your heel back, keeping that support through your belly, supporting your low back. As you feel steady to do so, you're gonna reach your left arm forward toward the front of the room. Now here, notice my hip isn't lifting up to the side, it's staying on the same level. And I'm really starting to engage through the back of my butt cheek to lift that heel, to lift that leg and straighten that leg toward the back of the room. One more breath here. And then we're gonna lower just the knee down. Keep the arm lifting up. Knee is lowering down, arm going forward. Why did that get harder? I don't know. It is a mystery. Take the hand back down. And now again, where your hips are in space, become aware of them being on the same level, and they're gonna stay on the same level. Lift your low belly away from the floor. Take your left leg toward the back of the room, pressing the heel. One breath here to really solidify the reach through the back of that leg. And then start to take your right arm forward. And again, here, reaching one line of energy all the way from your heel to your reached forward arm. One more breath before taking just the knee down. And as you feel ready, that knee is coming down, the arm is still lifting up. And reach through that hand for one more breath. And then go ahead and take that arm back down nice and slow. Now that we've engaged a little bit through the back of the butt cheek, we want to start working right here on the side. So with the low belly, lifting up again away from the floor, Start to take the right knee out to the side. Now avoid leaning off to the left side. You're really gonna try to stay nice in the center. Lift the right knee only as high as you can start to feel that leg, that butt cheek start to engage. So you really, after a couple breaths here, start to feel that that outer hip is working. Be here for 3 more breaths. You can even kind of play around with spreading the toes here. 1 more deep breath here. Breathing into that outer hip. And then go ahead and bring that leg back down. Good, we're gonna do the other side. I'm gonna turn around so that you can see. So coming to the other side. Centered, right in the middle, lifting the low belly away from the floor. And you're going to lift the left leg. Spread the toes, play around with the toes, and keep the shin parallel to the floor. So here, we're really starting to make sure that our butt cheeks are working. They're gonna become very important in the standing poses that we'll do later, and we wanna make sure that they know how to engage right now. So now they are engaging. Ooh, you feel it. Good, 1 more breath here, really feeling that outer butt cheek engage. And then go ahead and bring that leg back down. Tuck your toes under and start to send your hips up and back for downward facing dog. Pressing your heels down toward the floor, keep that connection through your arms. And then from here, inhale forward to plank. Make any adjustments if you need to so that your shoulders are over your wrists, that your heels are pressing back toward the back of the room. Lift your left knee or left foot. Bring your left knee in towards your nose. Inhale, take the knee to your left elbow. Exhale, knee to the right elbow. Inhale, left elbow. Exhale, right elbow. Inhale, left elbow. Exhale, right elbow. And then we're gonna go back into downward facing dog, this time lifting that back heel toward the ceiling. 1 more breath here, engaging through the back of your butt cheek, and then let that leg lower back down. Inhale forward to plank. Lift your right foot slightly off the mat. Exhale the knee in toward your nose. Inhale, take the knee to your right elbow. Exhale, left elbow. Inhale, right elbow. Exhale, left elbow. Inhale, right elbow. Exhale, left elbow. And take that leg all the way up behind. Your left heel dropping toward the floor. Your right heel lifting up. And that right butt cheek really working. 1 more breath. And let that foot come back down. Now you're gonna take a slow walk up toward your hands. Take your time. Your weight eventually coming into your feet. And then from here, we're forward folding for a breath. Bend your knees. And you're gonna roll up to standing, nice and slow, from the bottom up of your spine, all the way up to the crown of your head, taking the time to come back up. Very nice. Now we're gonna put together the reaching through the arms, the lifting of the rib cage, and the engagement of the hips and the butt cheeks in a standing pose sequence. So here we go. Remember that every time you're lifting up your arms overhead, they're not just lifting because we're lifting our arms, but they're lifting with the purpose of lifting the whole rib cage. So remember that child's pose where you're actively reaching your arms and you scoot your rib cage even a little higher. We're gonna keep doing that this whole time, okay? As we go along. So your big toes are together. You have a little space between your heels as you're standing here. Behind the big toe, behind the little toe and the heel are pressing down. Those 3 points are making a deep contact with the earth. Then from there, your low belly is pressing in a little bit. And now we're gonna take our arms up overhead and sit back. I'm gonna turn to the side so you can see it a little bit better. Big toes together, a little space between the heels. Here we're gonna start to inhale, sit the hips back, the weight is in your heels, the arms are reaching up overhead. with the purpose of lifting the rib cage as you're sitting your hips back. One more deep breath here in this chair pose. And then get ready to balance. You're gonna take a big step back with your right foot. Deep step back. Bend your right knee, pull your tailbone down toward the floor. Then start to straighten that back leg again. So first it bends, tailbone pulls down, back leg starts to straighten. Lift your gaze in between your hands and lengthen all the way from the front of this rib cage all the way down through the front of that hip. One more breath here in this crescent pose. Keep the knee deeply bent. Straighten your leg, and you're going to place your heel on the floor. Warrior one. So here your left hip is still pulling back. Your right hip, even though it's opened up to the side, is pressing forward as you gaze up in between your hands, lengthening through your right hand side. And now we're going to take the right hand back. Keep the front knee where it is. Don't let it drop in. Look out over your left fingertips. Warrior two. Stay here for one breath. Inner thigh lifting up on that right leg. And then as you feel ready, reach forward with the left hand. Take the left hand to the inside of the inner thigh. The right hand is gonna reach up and over, and you're gonna press the pinky toe edge of the right foot down and the right arm reaching up and over. One more breath, looking up underneath your arm. And then come back up to standing, warrior two. One more breath here to sink into that front leg. Take your right arm forward, warrior one, looking up, driving the right hip forward, lifting up the right inner thigh. And then big balance here. Lift that back heel, back to crescent. One more breath. Again, big balance, step forward. Get ready, prepare, inhale, and take a big step forward. Come back up to standing, and release your arms down. Very good. Here we're ready to go on the other side. I'll turn so that you can see it better. Big toes together, a little space between the heels. Notice if your breath is changing. Take your time. As you feel ready, pressing down through your heels, press your hips back, arms reach up, again with that intention to lift the rib cage. Get ready for your balance. Take a big step back with your left leg. Crescent pose, bending your left knee. Tailbone pulls down toward the floor. Then start to straighten that back leg. Look up between your hands. Lengthen all the way through your left hand torso, all the way down to the knee. One more breath. Then straighten the back leg. Spin the heel down. Press the outer pinky toe edge of that foot down to the mat, and you're squaring your hips forward toward the front of the room. This right hip is pulling back. Left hip coming forward. Look up between your hands. One more breath. Take your left hand, reach it back. Right arm reaching forward for warrior two. But here's where that butt cheek really starts to work, because don't let that knee drop in. Look out over your fingertips. One more breath. Sink into that knee. And then reach forward. Take your hand to your inner thigh. Your left arm is gonna lift all the way up and over, taking your chest forward, reaching. 2 breaths, looking up underneath your arm. Inhale back up to warrior two. Sink into it. Take your left arm forward again, looking up. Warrior one, pulling the right hip back. Now we go for balance. Lift the heel. Crescent pose, opening through the front of the hip, looking up between the hands. Now big balance, big step forward, all the way to chair pose. And come all the way up to standing. Exhale the arms down. That's a pretty intense leg sequence. Feel free to do that anytime you need more power in your legs. Enjoy it.